Hi all, this is Once a Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time we had a spooky run through Kanto as we asked the question of whether or not I could beat Pokemon Fire Red using just a single Duskull. Check it out now if you haven't done so. This week though, we go for something that has the potential to be one of the hardest I've done so far, as we ask the question of whether or not I can beat Pokemon Platinum using only normal type moves, but with no normal type Pokemon. Bit of a mouthful, I know. Predictions. I think the Rock and Steel gyms might be annoying. That's my main prediction. Definitely that latter one. Just the rules then. In combat, I can only use normal type moves, but limited to non-normal type Pokemon. So basically, I can't have same type attack bonus. Other Pokemon will be needed for HM moves, but unable to fight unless that HM move is normal type. So, I may get some utility out of Strength or Cut. Probably more the former than the latter. Only held items and Pokeballs in battle, but I can heal outside of battle. Last of all, no glitches or exploits. I am permitting impossible evolutions in randomizer though. However, I am banning hidden power, because although it is ostensibly normal type, it does kind of damage the spirit of the run. Plus, we are operating with standard team run rules. Battles must be on set mode and no legendaries either, so there is that. This idea was suggested by Jason Cabanuk. If you have any ideas for future challenges, then drop them in the comments section down below, or there are links to my Twitter and Discord in the description of the video. If you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring that bell! Other than using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer for what I mentioned earlier, because I don't think you can get trade evolutions using emulator otherwise, there's no need to change around the starter Pokemon. None of the starters in Gen 4 are normal type and they all begin with normal type moves. Having looked this through, I was originally going to start with Turtwig and use it as a HM slave, but I found out that Chimchar learns Facade in this game and that could be useful if we get afflicted with a status condition. It has been known to happen in this game. Sure, we are fire type so we can't be burned, but paralysis or poison is a consistent threat. Plus, I think there might be a Toxic Orb in this game, so maybe I can do something with that. Immediately, I think we have to fight a rival battle before we can do anything else. I've done the majority of my Gen 4 challenges in Pearl, not Platinum, so I have to remember how stuff goes down here. In this fight, it was incredibly close despite my great start. It does literally go down to the last move. I've never seen a rival use this tactic before, but Piplup puts up 6 growls in a row, which wrecks our attack. We do hit it with a few Leers to get some damage back, but it still grows increasingly fewer with every hit. If it had had even one super effective move, we'd have lost, but that's the point of this early fight, right? Scratch and Leer are both normal BTW, so I can use them to my heart's content, and I might have to for a bit. The Monkey and the Penguin trade blows for a bit until finally we take Rod's Piplup down for the count, getting us our first victory. When I get the chance, I nickname my Chimchar Monkey and start to move along with the game. I'm not getting our first capture until after we get to Warbird City, and so I put her along, grinding up our attack and speed EVs on Monkey. This seems an appropriate use of my time. It would be better if we didn't have a nature that lowered our physical attack, which was always going to be an issue in normal type runs, given that most of the normal type moves I can think of seem to be physical rather than special. I mean, Hyper Beam can be gotten in the game corner, there's Uproar, which few Pokemon can learn, and the banned Hidden Power, but I can't think of too much more otherwise. Was Hyper Voice in this game? I'll have to check that out. I'll need the levels if I want to use Monkey in the Rock Gym. We've got a rival fight next, and I think this was the start of what's happened in Gen 5, you know. Rival battles everywhere. Nah, that's unfair on this game, a lot. Anyway, we have ended a lot of Starly by this point for the speed EVs they give, and so we down it with 2 scratches when he sends that bird out first. We do get hit with Growl though, which isn't good. Piplup's fight goes really well though, as our first scratch is a crit and wipes out 3/4 of its health. We get hit with a few more growls as we knock it onto a sliver, and then he finally attacks. But we do finish it and learn Fury Swipes, forgetting Ember in the process. It's best to get rid of the damaging non-normal moves first, I guess, just in case I have a brain fart and accidentally void the run, which I don't want. Okay, I go north of Warbird City and hunt for a bit before I find myself a Machop who I fight and then capture, nicknaming the Machop Punchy. It's hard with nicknames for team runs, really. Thinking of witty stuff or themes. Oh nice, we got an increased attack nature, plus the ability I wanted in Guts. There is a reason for this, trust me. We don't start with an attacking normal move, but I have the return TM, so I'm going to utilise that. We're not friendly now, but I'm going to bring him around to my point of view by letting him do what he'll do best. Punch things! We are going to try and hit rock-type Pokemon with normal-type moves, so I do get some solid level grinding in ahead of this. I think my strategy might just have to be let Monkey do as much damage as possible and have Punchy come in and mop up when Chimchar goes down. There is liable to be Stealth Rocks, so I really don't want to be switching in if I can help it. We begin with Monkey versus Geodude, and despite getting a Leer off, we do pretty much see the worst of Fury Swipes, as it misses a bunch of times, and often, when it does land, it only hits a few times. This is why I friggin' hate that move with a burning, blinding passion. But needs must when the Giratina drives, as they say in Sinnoh. Geodude knows Rock Throw too, which does super effective damage. Monkey does knock Geodude down to red health, and I know a heal is coming. I pop another Leer off, and Geodude takes Monkey down. Oh well, it's Punchy's time to go forth and hit things then. I immediately focus energy and knock Geodude out with return. Craniados is next, and given it hits us with a bunch of headbutts, I am glad we are faster. 2 returns leave it weak, he heals, and we take it out before it can cause problems, the final blow being a grateful crit. Onyx is last, and it can't really hurt Punchy with Rock Throw, and so we take it down with a flurry of blows. Craniados left us at the half health mark, but we easily tank the Rock Throws to gain the victory and the first badge. We travel across the land some more, the next major fight being the one versus Mars at the Windworks. However, I stop beforehand and catch a Pachirisu, just as a thought, because this thing gets a lot of normal moves that I could use. Charm, Quick Attack, Endure, Swift, stuff like that. Super Fang might be a cheap way to cheese some fights. I'm thinking of things with high defense. Cough, Byron's Bastiodon. We get Bide too, but I'm not sure Charm and Bide is the greatest combination. We nickname the Pika clone Bushy. I do also catch a Shellos named Sluggy, but not sure if I'll utilise that or not. We head into the Windworks to face off with Mars, and I start off with Monkey. Hopefully he can put up a better showing than he did versus Rourke. We 2-hit Zubat with Scratch, only getting tagged with Bite in exchange, so I would certainly say that's a good start. Pure Ugly is a lot stiffer prospect though, as the cat and the monkey begin to exchange blows. Pure Ugly hitting a fake out while we go for Fury Swipes. We do actually get some fortune with the move this time. While the fight goes on, Monkey and Pure Ugly start to exchange scratches, clawing away at each other to see who will give first. It's Monkey who wins though, thanks to our level lead. Plus, we did have 2 other Pokemon in reserve. Gym 2 and Gardenia is next. Once we've got the gym out of the way, we can get our 4th capture. Numbers 5 and 6 won't be until after Veilstone if I predicted it right. Punchy also evolves into Machoke before this fight. We stroll in to face Gardenia, and I begin with Chimchar versus Turtwig. It immediately throws up a Reflect, and we miss Fury Swipes twice because, of course, trash accuracy. Want me to do another diatribe about how I hate this move? From this point, I don't think Monkey can win with the moves we have, and so I swap out and go into Bushy to fight Turtwig, getting tagged immediately with a crit Razor Leaf. I managed to get Bide off though and avoid being crit again, and we do wipe out most of its health with the said Bide after it blasts us with 2 more Razor Leafs. We get her to heal and waste one of her potions. We charm Turtwig, we hit it with a few Swifts, but ultimately, even as the Reflect comes down, Bushy falls in defeat. I send Monkey back in to revenge kill Turtwig though, so it's fine. Cherim is next. We hit some attacks on it to lower its health, landing Fury Swipes and Scratch attacks on it. The thing does tank them well, which is quite annoying, and it's not even like I can complain about having to only use base stage Pokemon, since I do that most weeks. Anyway, thanks to Cherim's Magical Leaf, Monkey does go down, but Punchy can come in, and it is Machoke's turn to do some revenge killing. Roserade comes out last and misses Stun Spore. That might not have been the worst thing in the world if it had landed due to our ability before we wipe out most of its health with return. Grass Knot rips a lot of our health away, but we survive, and even with it trying to survive by eating a berry, we end it pretty swiftly with another return. Phew! That was a close fight. The next major fight is another one with a Team Galactic member. This one being versus Jupiter atop the Eterna Galactic building. She has a skunk tank that can be a nightmare, so I guess we'll have to see how this goes. Monkey is out first and faces off against the Zubat. We drop it with 2 cuts and a scratch, only getting tagged with a few wing attacks. That wasn't too bad. Mind you, I figure the double battle at the end might be horrible this run with only normal type moves. Skunk Tank is next and we hit it with 2 cuts, but it very quickly overwhelms Chimchar, meaning that Monkey goes down. Maybe I should have gone for Leah. Oh well. I send in Bushy next to see if we can wreck it with Bide. I go for that move, it misses Poison Gas while we're storing energy and then hits us with a Night Slash, which doesn't crit, unfortunately. The one time in the history of the game when I wanted to get smacked with a critical hit. The Bide just doesn't do enough damage to knock it out. Skunk Tank eats a berry. I want to go for Swift to finish it, but accidentally use Charm before it survives 2 Swifts and ends us with the crit Night Slash. Of course. It doesn't matter too much though, as Punchy comes out, tanks a Night Slash and then ends it with Return. I enter Wayward Cave. Whatever could I want to capture in here? I'll give you a few moments if you want to work it out. Go on, I'll wait. It's no problem. Still waiting. Not an Onyx or a Geodude. I could have caught one of those before now. Eventually, I do get what I'm looking for in a Gibble. I weaken it with Monkey. Monkey gets knocked out and, with it on red health, I hook a Pokeball at it, only for it to break free and then knock itself out with the recoil from Takedown. Crap. Not good. Maybe I should get Bushy to charm the heck out of the next one I find. Actually, I'm searching the grass outside and I find a Gligar instead. Now, this gets Slash, Harden, Screech, Swords Dance and Guillotine via level up, so I might go with that instead. That last move could be a real Hail Mary. It'll save me hunting Gibble anyway. So, I managed to get one into a Pokeball and nickname it Glidey. Using a Garchomp in Sinnoh is a bit of a cliche anyway. Plus, I do like Gligar/Gliscor. Monkey, I also let evolve at level 31 after we get Facade, so the team is a bit more powerful. I think we are shaping up nicely. The Ghost Gym is next though, and you might be wondering how I'm going to win with only normal moves. Well, Punchy has Foresight and Bide can apparently hit ghosts in this game, so we do have options then. I find out that Struggle can hurt ghosts too, so Monkey goes into the fight with no power points at all. I can't face doing that strategy with Glidey too, so Gligar gets boxed for the fight. Now, the fight with Fantina goes well up until Mismagius, and then it comes crumbling down. I'm daring Duskull to Will-O-Whispers, but it doesn't fall for it, only going for Future Sight and Pursuit. We go for Foresight and Focus Energy to bait it, but the burn never comes, and eventually I get fed up and we down it with Return. Haunter does hit us for some damage with a few Shadow Claws, but we take it out with Foresight and Return. The problem we have is with Mismagius is that it confuses us. It takes Punchy down with these tactics, mixes a Psybeam in for good measure. It hits Bushy with a Shadow Ball while we're biding, and then goes for Confuse Ray. Although we do get the Unleash off, it does about half health in damage, which isn't good. If she'd have attacked again, we'd have won. I tried to get a Sweet Kiss off before we go down, but to no avail, as a combination of Shadow Ball and Confusion damage takes Pachirisu down. Monkey is last, and Struggle doesn't do as much as I hoped it would. Our efforts aren't helped by her healing it, and thanks to the recoil damage from Struggle, we end up going down. I'm going to reboot. I'm not doing that PP drain again with Monkey. It takes 3 attempts, but finally we get a run where we start the fight off by getting burned by Duskull, which activates Machoke's ability. So we're running with raised attack power. We Foresight it and bang it out with Return. Haunter is next, and although we get confused, it never turns out to be a problem as we Foresight it and end it with Return. Though we do lose about half our health over the course of the fight thanks to burn damage and Haunter's attacks. With Mismagius out, we survive a Psybeam and I go for Leah, figuring that it might make Struggle do more damage. Not that it matters. I send Bushy out and we get a Bide going. Mismagius hits us with 2 Shadow Balls, the first lowering our special defence, and it takes out like 3/4 of our health altogether before Bushy counters and ends Mismagius hard to give us the 3rd badge. Boom! Before we leave town, we have to fight the rival once again, and at least we've got a few levels across our team. He begins with Staravia, and I begin with Bushy, who immediately goes into Bide. 2 quick attacks on us mean that we take a decent bit of damage before countering it for 3/4 of our health. It goes for double team, and we finish it with Swift. Ponyta is next, and I go into Glidey to fight it with some quick attacks. Better moves are around the corner. We get hit with some tail whips and embers, but Ponyta never really looks like beating us as we down it. Primplup is next, and I go into Bushy for a Bide, meaning that over the course of the next 3 turns, we get hit with 3 bubble beams to land on 3 hit points. Primplup survives the Bide on a sliver and ends us with Peck. Monkey comes in to down it with Scratch before facing Roselia, and we 2 hit it with Cut to take it down, though it does miss Stun Spore. Next major fight, I believe, is the Fighting Gym and Mylene in Veilstone City. She has something that's part Steel type, so that will not be fun. Plus, given her Lucario also knows a ground move, it'll be risky using Bide for sure. I don't want to get Bone Rushed to death. That sounds a highly unpleasant way to go. While I'm fighting through the gym trainers, Punchy evolves into Machamp. I don't think I've ever used a Machamp before, so this will be interesting. Monkey isn't that far off evolving either. I could go get my next 2 captures, but there'll not be much use in this gym, given they're both weak to fighting types. And ground types come to that. That may or may not give away what I'm planning. I bought 2 Silk Scarfs from the game corner too. I begin with Bushy versus Meditite, who I did think about using on this run, largely because of the huge power ability. We're going to Bide and get hit with a crit fake out and a Rock Tomb, meaning that we absolutely wipe it out when we unleash energy. Bushy is really putting some work in this run. Lucario is next, and it hits us for massive damage, but I managed to get a charm off on it, harshly cutting its attack before it downs Bushy. Glidey is next, and we go for some Screechers, landing one and missing another while we get hit with Metal Claws that we tank quite well until it gets the attack raise. Our Slash barely does any damage to Lucario, even with the lowered defence, so I throw another Screech at it before it brings Gligar down. I go for Punchy next and immediately focus energy. It hits us with Force Palm and paralyses us, which might have been one of the worst things it could do for Mylene's sake. So, Lucario is currently -4 in defence, facing a paralysed attack EV trained Machamp with Guts and an attack boost in nature. It's not standing much longer. Machoke is last and just goes for focus energy before Punchy downs it with Return. That's 4 badgers. Now, after the gym, Monkey evolves into Infernape to power us up even more. Not that it will be much use in the next gym. Actually, given the team we're putting together, the next gym could genuinely be awful. You'll see in a moment. At the second attempt, I capture a Houndour. Now, there is Fire-type overlap with Monkey here, but Houndour is one of the few Pokemon I can use in this game that gets Odor Sleuth, so it's another option for hitting Ghost types. The first one we try to capture roars us out of battle, but we capture the second one and nickname it Doggo. It literally isn't long before Doggo evolves into Houndoom, given it was already level 24 when we caught him. So yeah, 2 fighting types on the team, 2 fire types. I've really thought this through, haven't I? Just to compound the general level of water-related suckiness, I capture a Rhyhorn, who does actually learn a lot of normal moves, and nickname her Reno. Yeah, I'm really running out of ideas with these names, huh? So basically, any water types, if Punchy and Bushy aren't good to fight, then I'm probably going to be in for a bad time, aren't I? Water Gym next on that note, but before we can face off with Crash Awake, we have a rival fight to contend with, and I'm reasonably confident. I taught Doggo Hyper Beam, so we do at least have an attacking normal move. Bushy faces off with Staravia, who is actually a higher level, which isn't good. Rather than attacking, it chooses to spam double team, only hitting a quick attack while we're biding. I figure going for Swift is the lesser of 2 evils, but the moment we start using that, it starts quick attacking. We get it down to 3 hit points and it knocks Bushy out. Want to know how I know it has 3 hit points left? I send Glidey in next and Swords Dance on the first turn. It then uses Endeavour on us, leaving us with the same number of hit points it has. We hit a quick attack to down it before he goes to Primplup. We hit it with a Slash, it survives with about a third of its health left. He chooses to go for Metal Claw to finish us, and it misses. What an idiot! We finish it with Slash. Roselia is next, though we are faster and down it with Slash. Ditto Ponyta, though I am surprised we are faster than the Fire Horse. Speed is about the only thing it has going for it. We take that down with Slash, we win the fight. I leave Houndoom and Rhyhorn in the box for the battle with Crasher Wake. They're still relatively low levelled and not likely going to be able to do much at this point. Sure, Monkey and Glidey are weak to water, but they're both mid-30s in level, so in theory they might be able to survive one attack. I begin with Bushy to face Gyarados. Okay, this goes so badly it's not even funny. We get buyed up versus Gyarados but get 2 hit by Waterfall. It does just over half our health in damage. That's pretty ominous. Punchy comes in to fight Gyarados, and although we take it down, it still takes 2 returns and most of our health is wiped out. Floatzel then comes in and finishes Punchy off with Brine. Yeah, I'm really not confident now. Monkey does get most of his health wiped out by Brine, even as we hit a Facade for about a quarter of its health, and then it finishes us off with Aqua Jet. Glidey has most of his health wiped out by an Ice Fang and gets frozen in the bargain before being finished with Aqua Jet. Yeah, that went pretty bad, I'm not going to lie. I get a few more levels and rethink strategies before going back to face him again. Bushy is a few levels stronger this time, and so I think we might be good. This time goes a lot better, massively so. Bushy can survive Waterfall easily this time, taking 2 of them to put us on red health. I did give Pachirisu a berry though, just in case it dropped us below half. Our bide takes Gyarados down hard. We are faster than Quagsire, so I go for a Super Fang to cut its health in half before it downs us with Mudshot. Bushy did what was needed there. I send Monkey out and go for a Swords Dance before we do get tagged with Mudshot. It doesn't do much damage but drops our speed, which isn't good as we knock it out with Facade. As a result, we are slower than Floatzel now, though we do survive a hit, which is a relief, and we do hit it with big damage with Facade before it downs us. Punchy can come in though, and with Floatzel weak, it can't one-hit us, and Punchy duly ends it with a single return. That went better. Next gym won't be fun though, I bet. Before that though, there is a fight with Cyrus in Celestic Town that we'll have to win to move on. There's ramblings about Legends and all that stuff that we probably saw a great deal more detail in Legends Arceus about, but enough about that. I really wouldn't mind them doing more in that series. There's options. I'd play a game in that style set in the past in another region. Versus Cyrus, I send Monkey out. We Swords Dance versus Sneasel and take a Slash in exchange before we down it with Facade. Golbat comes out next and survives Facade before we get hit with an Air Cutter for massive damage. He heals it, but we take it out with Cut and another Facade. Murkrow is last, and despite the fact we have a type disadvantage, we down it before it can get going. That's good. We did what we needed to do. Let's go head for the Steel Gym. Before we can enter the Steel Gym, there's another rival fight though, and we've got to beat him in Canalave City. This is turning into a pattern. I think this is the last time we have to fight him until the Pokemon League though. I get everyone up to at least level 40 before this fight and head out to face him on Canalave's world famous bridge. Great date spot and sights of fights to the death. He begins with Staraptor and I pick Bushy. It misses takedown while we're biding and then spams double team a bunch. I go for another bide and finally it lands a takedown, doing enough damage that we can counter it with ease to end it as a threat. Next, he goes for Rapidash and I switch into Doggo. We get hit with a takedown and counter with a Hyper Beam that leaves it weak before it does eventually knock itself out with takedown recoil. Heracross is next and I switch into Glidey, who does get 2 Swords Dancers up before we hit it with a Slash that it narrowly survives. Night Slash from it doesn't do much damage initially, but the last 2 crit to bring Glidey down. I can't evolve him yet, I have to wait until tonight, but I will be doing it. I send in Monkey to end Heracross with a Facade. Empoleon is next and Monkey might as well stay out. I hit it with 2 returns, but we get ended by its double bubble beam barrage before Punchy comes in and continues the return assault to eventually bring down his psychotic penguin. Last is Roserade, and Punchy ends it with a crit return. You can tell Punchy has been getting a lot of combat in with the level compared to everything else on my team. Before I fight Byron, my Rhyhorn evolves into a Rhydon, and given I have a Protector from Iron Island, might not be a Rhydon much longer either. It gives me another tactical option. Hopefully I can get a Horndrill off during the fight. It won't affect Bastiodon, one of the only times that the sturdy ability was useful in Gens 3 and 4, but maybe I can get lucky versus Magneton or Steelix. I genuinely believe my best option versus Bastiodon is Super Fan, but I have got to be careful because of Metal Burst. Anyway, my Rhyperia proves MVP in this match, as on the first turn we one-hit Magneton with Horndrill for a resounding one-hit knockout. Then Steelix comes out, we get hit with a Flash Cannon. Although our special defence is low, I'm not too concerned about taking a Flash Cannon from a Steelix, since it's not a special attacker. It throws up Sandstorm, which does absolutely nothing to Reno, and hits an Earthquake, which we tank hardly, all while missing 3 Horndrills. The final one hits and Oko's the Steelix to give us the win in that round. It's not like we could use Horndrill on Bastiodon anyway. Now, the first part of this fight is immensely gruelling, as we hit a Scary Face on it, and then a barrage of Stomp and Takedown attacks. We never get a flinch on Bastiodon, which is quite unsettling. Rhyperia probably isn't going to outspeed much over the course of this game, and with Stomp in hand, I'd at least have hoped that we'd have gotten something approaching a flinch. Over the course of this duel, while it counters with Stone Edge and Metal Burst attacks, Metal Burst working as something akin to a combination of Counter and Mirror Coat, we eventually do go crashing down, but we do take out like a quarter of its health, which is actually not bad considering it got a few iron defences up too. Bushy comes in and I go for Bide. Worst case, it fails because it doesn't attack us. It hits a Stone Edge for about a third of our health, but rectifies the mistake on his part and doesn't attack again. Thankfully though, when we unleash energy, it wrecks Bastiodon's remaining health and puts it down. There's some fights at the lakes now, as first we have to take on Commander Saturn. I'm pretty much down doggo for this fight, thanks to fighting through the grunts, but I begin with Glidey, who faces off with Golbat. I get 2 Swords Dancers up during this time, during which it hits Supersonic and Toxic, which is far from ideal, I will be honest. What is perhaps annoying is the fact that we do fight through Confusion and still don't one-hit it with +4 in attack. The word nuts springs to mind as Glidey goes down. I send in Monkey next and go for 2 Swords Dancers, daring it to hit me with Toxic so that it'll power up our Facade. It doesn't bite, missing an Air Cutter and landing Supersonic, though we never hit ourselves and take it down with Cut. Toxicroak is also a one-hit with Return, we shake ourselves out of Confusion, and last is Bronzor, who surprisingly we one-hit with Return. We've got a fight with Mars immediately up next. I don't want to put Fly on my team, so while we walk there, this seems as good a time as any to talk about what's going on with the channel. I began a new playthrough, started the campaign mode on Resident Evil Revelations 2, and that's intriguing so far. I finished playing through Zero last week, so that was, Zero is not my favourite, I'm going to be honest. Still doing 3 rotating Pokemon playthroughs on alternate weeks. It's a trial of trying to remember where I am and what I'm doing, plus 3 different control sets. Should be Mystery Dungeon next week, Insurgents the week after, then back to Let's Go week after. I had 2 good sessions this week, running through Silphco and Let's Go Pikachu. Just feel like I have a huge grind coming up for it level-wise shortly, which might not be fun. Plus, I am battling on with Fable Anniversary. I think I'm playing it in a really weird way, in that I kind of want to be evil, but I seem to end up performing random acts of goodness, which are leaving me in a sort of middle ground. Definitely fun though. I always liked doing evil stuff in the sequels, but wasn't so keen on the lifestyle-related aesthetics. I didn't like the devil horns, basically. Pokemon-wise, let's talk about the challenges. This one is pretty time-consuming so far. Normally, by the point in time that I'm writing now, 9:21 AM, Monday the 19th of September, I'm finished and currently recording the audio. Hopefully, it'll not be too late. Everything crossed. Next challenge should be simpler at least, as we return to Pokemon Red and see if I can beat it with just a single Porygon. Be sure to check that one out. As always, if you have any ideas for challenges, drop them in the comments section below, or follow the links to the Pokemon Challenges section of my Discord or my Twitter. But yeah, can't wait to hear what gets thought up. I'd have never thought about doing Platinum with only normal moves, but no normal types. I can see this one being a pain in that I'll have to drop someone for a HM slave, won't I? Such is life. Something that knows Defog, Surf and Waterfall, maybe Rock Smash too. I wonder if there is something I can get that has that combination. I don't think Bibarel can learn Defog or it'd be perfect. At least I'm utilising Strength, Rock Climb when I get it and Cut in this run. Not first choice, but okay as filler moves. Well, Strength often feels underwhelming, but I don't suppose that it's that bad in terms of power. Mars then. The Windworks feels a very long time ago as we face her at Lake Verity. I begin with Doggo versus Golbat, hitting a Strength and immediately getting countered with Toxic. Q, a very big sigh. I blast it with Hyper Beam, but it survives on a Sliver. Q, an even bigger sigh, as it then confuses us, but we do at least manage to take it out with another Strength, so that is something at least. What's with the tanky Golbat in this game? I know we're not using Stab, but seriously. Pure Ugly comes out and fake outs Doggo to death, so I send in Reno to try and Horn Drill it. We miss 3 of them while it launches various attacks to different degrees of success, from Hypnosis missing to Feint Attack barely doing anything. She switches into Bronzor, who gets tagged by a Horn Drill at the 4th attempt before going down. I'm not complaining about that. Pure Ugly comes out and fake outs, making Reno flinch before putting us to sleep for about 6 turns. All while I want to try and use that last Horn Drill PowerPoint. I wish Reno had a better ability than Lightning Rod. I'd have preferred Solid Rock. I can't see how Lightning Rod is actually going to help us. I don't think the game's AI is dumb enough to fling an electric attack at a ground Pokemon. It's the sort of combination that would have been brilliant in Gen 1 with that engine and that AI. Imagine going up against Red and Blue Blaine with something that has Flash Fire. You'd have probably kept on trying to Fire Blast you to death. We wake up eventually and take Pure Ugly down with stomps and takedowns. The last Horn Drill missed if you've been paying attention to the video and not my mad ramblings. I have to head over to the next gym now, the Ice one, and I'm less than impressed with the idea of this. The Ice Gym in Sinnoh has one of the most infuriating puzzles in all of Pokemon. I'll start with Punchy, I think. That seems to be as good a choice as any. Versus Sneasel, at the start, I go for a Focus Energy, while it lands 2 Aerial Aces. The second one, infuriatingly, being a critical hit, which seems about right. Punchy survives though, and we one-hit it with Return. She goes for Frostlass next, and I try to Foresight it, but Frostlass is faster and finishes Punchy with Psychic. Okay, I figured that might be the case. I go for Doggo next, and she goes for Double Team repeatedly over the next few turns. However, thanks to us using Odor Sleuth, none of our attacks miss. Houndoom's nose proves superior to Frostlass's trickery. We hit a bunch of strength attacks and even a Hyper Beam, but all it does is put her into healing range. She does just that, and we have to do it over and over. Heh, the attacking moves it has are Blizzard, Shadow Ball and Psychic. Houndoom pretty much shuts that combo down. We knock it out and she goes into Piloswine, and given it has rock and ground moves, I figure Doggo's time is done and Hyper Beam it for 3/4 of its health before we go down to Stone Edge. Monkey comes out next and Revenge kills it with Return before Abomasnow is last. Our Return does less than half. We get hit with an Avalanche but doesn't do much, but unfortunately Abomasnow knows Water Pulse. We do put it on red health, but she heals, and we take the chance to go for Swords Dance. Hey, that rhymes! It's nice to finish it, and Infernape goes down, but Glidey comes in to sweep the victory and take Abomasnow out with Slash. Next major fight is a duel with Cyrus, and we beat him last time, so how bad can it be, really? It's the Distortion World fight I'm not looking forward to. Not the battle itself, just the Distortion World in general. I hate that frigging place. Anyway, we have Rhyperior face off with Sneasel. It lands Screech, but we hit a Rock Climb on it that succeeds in confusing it. That's good. It hits itself in confusion, and then we finish it with Stomp. Crobat is next. We hit a rock climb on it, but don't get the confusion, which is unfortunate. However, we take it out with a horn drill very quickly afterwards, so that's good. I remember, only after 2 efforts versus Honchkrow, that I don't think Oko moves work if the Pokemon being used on is at a higher level. So, we failed twice with Horn Drill versus that because we're 2 levels lower. It takes us out with 2 feint attacks. I send Bushy in and use Bide. We survive 2 feint attacks on red health and end the Honchkrow in very swift fashion. Boom! Saturn is next before we can leave the Galactic HQ, and his team hasn't changed much since Lake Valor. This fight is actually pretty hard thanks to his shameless tactics of spamming Confuse Ray. Glidey faces Golbat since it's gone 8 PM and I have the Razor Fang on. I hit a few slashes for minimal damage, all while Golbat hits some air cutters. I chance a Swords Dance and it lands on a Sliver before the dratted thing confuses me. We do take it out with Slash and hit Bronzor with the move before the damage starts to mount up and I switch Glidey out. I send Reno in and again we get confused, which isn't good. We miss a Horn Drill and then only get the chance to attack again once I think, where we miss a second Horn Drill. All while it attacks us with Extra Sensory and Gyro Balls, the damage compounded by us hitting ourselves in confusion. Rhyperior goes down and I send Punchy in, who immediately gets confused, but we do at least take Bronzor down with 2 returns. Toxicroak is last and it's a 2-hit with return, though it is faster and does land 2 poison jabs. If that first one had poisoned us, then we'd probably have 1-hit it, but the one and only time that we actually want the status affliction, of course we don't get it. I head to the south and do a bit of grinding on Glidey to get that level up so that we can evolve into Gliscor. The power boost will be needed. I really like Gliscor as a design, plus we get Guillotine, so that'll be potentially useful too. In the same way that Horn Drill might also be useful down the line. Hey, it did a job on Byron, maybe I can execute something with Glidey's claws and that'll be that. I climb Mount Coronet. I hate this bit so much. I think this symbolises everything that's wrong with Gen 4, i.e. an over-reliance on HMs. I have to leave Doggo behind so that I can bring my surfing Psyduck. Shame, I could have used that versus Cyrus's own Houndoom. I hate this double battle with Mars and Jupiter so much. It's a cliche that the rival is absolutely useless in this battle, but it doesn't make it any less true. Actually, that's not fair. It's his Munchlax that's a waste of space. I always find the trick with this battle is to try and turn it into a 2-on-1 as soon as possible. We waste a Screech with Glidey when it misses and get 2 Swords Dancers up, while the Bronzor do Bronzor stuff, like putting Reflect and Light Screen up and hitting extra sensory attacks. I once beat Pokemon Pearl with just a single Bronzor. Horrible run. Glidey does take down one of the Bronzor and Purugly too, but goes down to the Golbat. We go on a slashing spree as we go for Mars first. Munchlax did land a Screech on her Bronzor, and so that was the one that I picked for defeat. 2 slashes take it down, even with the Reflect up. Purugly is faster and hits us with some slash attacks of its own, but to little avail as Glidey takes those moves like a champ. Purugly is deceptively fast. It has a higher base speed than Latios and Latias, randomly. Golbat does beat Glidey though with an air cutter. I send in Reno next and we do manage to stomp it to death eventually, thanks to the Reflect being up and blocking most of the damage. Golbats have been annoying in this run, I must say. The rival's Munchlax goes down after countless uses of Stockpile and Swallow, and he sends his Rapidash in to Fire Blast Bronzor to defeat, just as I was about to Horn Drill it. Yeah, thanks. Versus Golbat number 2, I find out that it knows Giga Drain, which does a lot of damage to my Rhyperior, but thankfully we survive and can end it with a Horn Drill. Skuntank is last and I swap out for Punchy with Reno weak. The rival's Rapidash burns it with Will-O-Wisp and Skuntank survives return. I've never seen this before though, as Rapidash then burns Punchy with Will-O-Wisp, activating our Guts ability. I never knew that could happen. Anyway, we beat it and we can move on to the Distortion World. Nearly 9 PM on Monday at time of writing, but not of recording. Distortion World. It's really trippy as we've got to hunt Cyrus through this area. And it is an incredible lack of judgment on Cynthia's part, if you think about it. Here, I'm going to take this 10-year-old through this world where physics don't entirely apply, all while hunting a largely dangerous lunatic. I know the fight with Cyrus is going to be pretty awful before we even begin it. Anyway, we get to said fight, and I begin with Monkey versus Houndoom. The flamethrowers from the Dark Doggo do a lot of damage. I take 3 of them to put me on about a quarter health while I get 3 swords dancers up. There is a reason for this. It might seem like overkill as we one-hit Houndoom with return, but it is not overkill for Gyarados out next. It lowers our attack and we turn out to be faster as we one-hit it with return. We're not faster than Crobat though, and it air slashes Infernape out of the fight. I send Bushy out next to bide the Crobat. It hits 2 cross poisons for about 100 points of our health, and we duly blast it into oblivion. Weavile is next. I want to go for Charm, but we are not faster, and it downs us with Ice Punch. On the subject of punches, Punchy comes in next, and Weavile is faster to nobody's surprise and hits us with 2 Ice Punches. We survive hardly and manage to down it with 2 return attacks. Last is Honchkrow, and it ends Machamp pretty quickly. I'd have hoped that we'd have survived at least 1 move, but I doubt it. I send Reno in to face Honchkrow, and although we get tagged with 2 psychic attacks, we do manage to down it with 2 rock climbs. Horndrill just wasn't an option here due to it still being a higher level, alas. Now we have got the Electric Gym to still do, so 7 major fights left to win the run. Volkner, the rival, the Elite Four, Cynthia. I set off to face Volkner, beginning with Glidey up top. The first fight is versus Jolteon, and it can't really hurt us, so over the course of the fight, I set up 3 Swords Dancers. It does miss 2 Iron Tails on us, but the 2 that do land barely hurt us. With our attack maxed out, I end it with Slash. Luxray is next, and this one knows Ice Fang, which will mess us up if it lands, but we are faster and end it with a Slash before it can attack. Electivire comes out next, and we land a Slash on it to take it down hard before it can hit us. Raichu is last, and it's a similar story. We slash away at it, and although the static paralyses us, we one-hit it for the win. After going through Victory Road, there is an astonishing rival fight to contend with, and I use the word astonishing due to just how close this fight was. I begin with Bushy versus Staraptor. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this time, he plays dirty. We go for Bide, he U-turns into Snorlax, who knocks Bushy out with Earthquake. That's definitely not good. Glidey comes in to face Snorlax, and we go for the Swords Dance, but we get paralysed first turn with Body Slam, and then it proceeds to slam us with its great girth over and over again until he switches into Empoleon. We do hit Empoleon with a Slash, but it barely does any damage, and it takes us down fast. I go into Machamp, and we focus energy for little effect before slamming into it with a few returns. Unfortunately though, Empoleon takes Punchy down, and suddenly things look very, very bad. I am 3 Pokemon down, and he hasn't lost any yet. I send in Monkey and knock Empoleon out with return. He goes for Staraptor again, and I switch out into Reno, who gets tagged with an Aerial Ace and 2 close combats, but Rhyperior does just enough to take Staraptor down, though we are weak as a result. He picks Roserade next, and I go into Doggo, getting tagged with 2 poison jabs before I roar it out and Snorlax comes back in next. I hit it with Strength, and it survives before downing us. Reno comes back out, and it hits Snorlax, but we do also get downed. So, it's just Monkey left versus 4 of his Pokemon. We do revenge kill Snorlax though. Next is Heracross, and we chance a Swords Dance before being hit with close combat. But we do survive, and Monkey knocks Heracross out with return. He picks Rapidash next, and we also end that with a return. Before, finally, he sends Roserade back out, and again, we are fast enough to one-hit it with a return. I think it's safe to say that he snatched defeat from the jaws of victory there. Anyway, before we enter, here's our team, our moves and our stats. Everyone is at least level 50. I'm not sure that'll be enough, you know. Bertha could be awkward. In fact, I think she will be. I wish I had a better way of boosting Machamp's attack than hoping for crits with focus energy. I think we'll struggle versus Rock and Steel type, and there's a fair few of both of those ahead. Aaron has Sinnoh, Bertha has Golem and Rhyperia, plus I can't remember if she has Sudowoodo or not. Flint shouldn't be an issue, but Lucian has Bronzong, which will be bad, I'm sure of it. I don't think we'll win all 5 upcoming fights at this level, but if you disagree and have a great deal of faith in me, then tell the comment section now. Bug Trainer, Aaron, is first, and I begin with Glidey. I figure that whatever he starts with won't be able to hurt us too much, and I want to get some Swords Dancers up. He begins with Yanmega and goes for a combo of Double Team and his Speed Boost ability, meaning that his stats are constantly rising. I go for the 3 Swords Dancers. I am pretty lucky that some of the Air Slashers miss because we'd have probably been defeated otherwise. I'm glad we didn't really flinch either. We miss 1 slash when we do go on the attack, but land the second one for the win. Drapion is next, and somehow it is faster than Gliscor and downs us with Ice Fang. I send Monkey in and get 2 Swords Dancers up while it hits 2 Aerial Acers, but we manage to survive them both and knock it out with Return. Next is Vespiquen and Heracross. Neither of them manages to stand up to Return, which is a bit of a relief. Between those two, I wondered if they'd have the capacity to cause some problems. Last up is the Scizor, which does cause us problems, as we knock out most of its health with a Return, prompting a heal after he hits us with Iron Head, which puts us on red health. I knock out most of its health again, for it quick attacks us into defeat. I send in Doggo in to try and finish it. Didn't know if he'd heal again or not, so I didn't go for the Hyper Beam. But instead, I went for Strength, and it survives the move to one-hit us with X-Scissor. Bushy hits a Swift that does minimal damage before going down to X-Scissor and Quick Attack, before Punchy has to come in and brutally stop the Scissor before it can sweep the rest of my team. That went bad very, very quickly. Wow. But I suppose we won, so that's the main thing. I'm really not confident about the rest of this. Anyway, Bertha next, and this fight proves how woefully outmatched we are. Mind you, we do get pretty unlucky. I begin with Glidey versus Whiscash and get 3 Swords Dancers up. Risky, as it's part water type, sure, but given it throws Sandstorm up first and we are more evasive in a Sandstorm, I chance it. We still can't one-hit it with Slash though. She heals it and we have to go again. It misses a bunch of Aqua Tails, so that's the only reason we get through. We are faster than her Gliscor, but it knows Ice Fang and ends us after surviving our Slash. Monkey gets a Swords Dance up, but it crits us with Earthquake. Punchy gets a Focus Energy up, but the second Earthquake that Gliscor hits us with crits us. Reno does hit Rock Climb, but it survives and 2 hits us with Earthquake. Doggo does finish it, but goes down to Hippowdon's Stone Edge. And Bushy is also taken out by Hippowdon's Earthquake. Yeah, we need to be stronger across the board, a lot stronger. So then, level 50 wasn't good. I'm going to try and get everyone to at least level 55. Cynthia's Ace is level 62, so that seems good. Punchy is level 60, and given that Monkey gets a lot of training, he soon shoots past that level 2. Punchy might hit harder, but Monkey is faster and can boost that attack stat, so we do have that going for us. Second attempt on Bertha goes a lot better. With Glidey, I managed to get 3 Swords Dancers up versus Whiscash, who misses Aqua Tail on us twice after helpfully putting the Sandstorm up to raise our evasion. Once we have maxed out our attack, we can knock it out with Slash. We do the same to Bertha's own Gliscor, taking it out quickly before it can Ice Fang us. Golem is tougher, but as it helpfully puts the sand back up and only really attacks us with Fire Punch, I managed to get 3 Screeches off to take it down after our first slash didn't really do much damage. Rhyperia is tougher as it knows Avalanche. I go for a Screech, but the move hits hard. I throw a slash at it, but it takes us down at the second attempt. It isn't helped in this fight by her healing it. Punchy fights Rhyperia, but ultimately ends up going down to its attacks. Earthquake and Avalanche inflicting big damage on my Machamp, even though we do get a crit on the first move thanks to our focus energy. I send in my own Rhyperia, and eventually, and eternally gratefully, we do manage to take it out with our rock climbs thanks to being faster. Hippowdon is last, and we do hit some blows with Reno, but it eventually knocks us out and I have to send Monkey in to finish it off with some serious vengeance. Phew! At least we did it. Not an easy fight, but we got there. I hope I don't have to fight her again. Flint is next, and I decide to put Punchy up at the top of my team, just in case we can coax it into burning us. That's the plan. It will boost our attacks. Like most of my plans over the last bit of this run, it doesn't entirely turn out well in practice. Houndoom goes for Sunny Day while we focus energy, and then hits a massive flamethrower. Worse, despite Houndoom having pretty bad physical defence, we can't one-hit it with return, and we go down to his Dark Doggo. I send in my own Houndoom to fight it, and we do take it out with strength, so that is something at least. He sends in Infinite next, and I hit it with a strength, but an Earthquake leaves us weak, so I swap into Glidey. We do get a few Swords Dancers up, while it clatters us with Mach Punch and a few Flare Blitzers, before we down it with Slash. Magmortar is next, and we hit it for big damage before it does put Glidey down, and I choose to send in Monkey. We get hit with Thunderbolt and Hyper Beam, but get an appropriate number of Swords Dancers up before we finish Magmortar off with Facade. We take Rapidash down with return, at least we are faster, and we very quickly do the same to Flareon before it can turn into a threat. Monkey just pulled us out of the fire again. 2 fights left, I think we're on the edge here. Lucian is likely going to be horrible, especially that Bronzong. I might have to employ similar tactics to what I did versus Byron, I think. Mr. Mime is up first, and I begin with Doggo. I hit a strength, and it employs Reflect. Not an issue. Doggo has the metronome on, so each time I use the same move in a row, it will increase in power. We get hit with Thunderbolt, and he drops a heal on it, but I time it just right for the Reflect to go down as we end Mr. Mime. Gallade is next, and we are faster, but strength does less than half, and it ends us with Stone Edge pretty quickly. I send in Monkey and finish it with return. Espeon is next, and I take a gamble that we will survive a Psychic type attack, going for Swords Dance. We land on red health, and that's great because I then one-hit it with return. Alakazam is out next, and that is also a one-hit with return. It has bad physical defence. Last is Bronzong, and I switch into Glidey. I need to end this fast. It can't hit hard normally, but it does start putting Calm Minds up. I miss 4 guillotines in a row before finally it takes us out with a +2 boosted Psychic. This is actually a little worrying. Reno comes in though, and I go for Horn Drill, and it does land to one-hit it, and I breathe a huge sigh of relief. Just the champion battle left then. Milotic and Lucario could both be worrying. I need either Punchy or Bushy on the field to reasonably be able to take care of the former. Let's see how we do with this. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. It goes really badly. Houndoom faces off with Spiritomb, and we pick up the same strategy we did with Mr. Mime. First though, we Odor Sleuth it, and then go on the strength spree, while it hits us with Silver Winds. This is not helpful as it gets the stat boosts, and we progressively do less and less damage. It knocks Doggo out, and Monkey has to come in and finish it off, though we do get hit with an attack after Swords Dancing. Milotic is next, and I swap out into Bushy, but get hit with Dragon Pulse and Surf to get beaten. Punchy comes in and 2 hits Milotic with return, but we do get smashed with a massive Surf attack for huge damage after it fails first with Mirror Coat. Togekiss is annoying as it one-hits both Glidey and Reno, finishes off Punchy before Monkey downs it. However though, we're just too weak for Monkey to do too much versus Garchomp, and we duly lose. I make another attempt, but it doesn't go any sort of better, as Houndoom does beat Spiritomb this time, and Pachirisu beats Milotic, but the rest of my team gets swept by Garchomp, so I decide to head back to the grinding board. I reckon if I can get my entire team to level 60, surely I should be good for this fight. It takes a lot to get back here because I lose so many attempts to Bertha's rock types, but eventually I'm feeling pretty confident. Sure, I need a lot of things to happen in a certain way, but I figure this might be my best chance. It takes many attempts on Cynthia, but eventually I get one where it transpires like so. With Houndoom versus Spiritomb, I Odor Sleuth and then hit it with a Hyper Beam. We get hit with quite a few blows from Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball and Silverwind throughout these attempts, and she gets an inordinate amount of crits too. But with strength, we do eventually take Spiritomb down, and that is massive because if, as happened on a few runs, Houndoom and Machamp both go down, we cannot beat Spiritomb. Mind you, biding it does not sound like fun. There were some runs where we had Houndoom out and she switched into Lucario, which did not help. When Doggo takes Spiritomb down, she brings my Milotic in and I blast it with a Hyper Beam, which puts much needed damage onto it, because even as I sacrifice Doggo to get a free switch into Bushy, I go for Bide. She always goes for Mirror Coat first turn as if she's expecting an electrical attack that never comes, and Surf on the second turn. Now, if we just get hit with one Surf, it is not enough to one-hit my Milotic with the reflected damage from Bide, but with Hyper Beam damage on it, that move is enough to end it. She sends in Garchomp next, and I go for Charm, but we are not going to outspeed by any stretch of the imagination, and Garchomp lands Earthquake to end us. I send Machamp in next to land a return, which does do decent damage, but we go down very quickly. Machamp's usefulness as the run went on sure did dwindle. We just can't stand up to Garchomp's power. I go into Gliscor next and get a Swords Dance up before it goes for Giga Impact, which we do tank quite well, and I take the chance while it's recharging to get another Swords Dance up. We do manage to take Garchomp out with a few slashes, which is a relief. Togekiss is up next, and this thing has wicked coverage, so even though we get hit with a Water Pulse, we do still manage to take it out with 2 slashes, which gives me hope that we can do this. My heart was racing. Roserade is next, and we one-hit it with Slash. That was good, just Lucario left. Unfortunately, we are weak after the Water Pulse, and it manages to extreme speed us out of the fight. I send in Reno to try for a cheeky Horn Drill, but it one-hits us from full health with Aura Sphere, which is annoying because probably any other fighting type move in existence at the time, we'd probably have survived. Horn Drill would probably have missed anyway, so I'm not going to get too upset. It is all down to Monkey then. 14 levels higher, but at a type disadvantage. I managed to get 2 Swords Dancers up while it goes for Aura Spheres and Stone Edges. 1 Aura Sphere leaves us in red health, but our boosted return leaves it in red health. I am actually terrified she will go for extreme speed again, but instead she chooses to heal and our Shell Bell takes us out of what is probably knockout range. We weaken it with return and then finish it with another return, a second one, to beat Cynthia and win the run, entering the Hall of Fame, which is a huge, huge, huge relief because I thought this challenge would never end. Well, that was certainly brutal, and I have a strange suspicion this might be the longest video I've ever done Pokemon Challenge-wise. What is it about Gen 4? I really hope you enjoyed all the effort I put into this. Nothing more disheartening than spending this much time doing a challenge and only a handful of people watch it. The Black with Swinub video springs to mind. Still, when they say patience is a virtue, I suppose they are right. I never seem to know what video might end up popular. Popular by my standards anyway. But regardless of how many of you do choose to watch my videos, I just want to thank you from the very bottom of my heart. There are plenty of Pokemon challenges out there on YouTube, and I'm very happy that you picked mine. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we head back to Pokemon Red for the first time in a while and see if we can beat it using just a single Porygon. That could be interesting. It'll probably be simpler and shorter than this one. I'll probably not go wildly over schedule in terms of the time it takes to do it. I've been feeling a bit under the weather this week. I feel like I've got a cold coming on, so that's probably not helped either. As always, if you do have any ideas for challenges, drop them in the comments below or follow the links to my Twitter and Discord. If you've really enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe away and help feed the almighty algorithm. It helps a lot to make the channel grow. Oh, by the way, I did hit 200 subscribers, so if you are subscribed and watching, well, the words thank you just don't seem enough, but hand on heart, thank you. What's going on with me? Well, you might have noticed I did redo a lot of the thumbnails for the challenges. I feel I made them look a bit better. I did it for the ongoing Let's Plays too, so Let's Go Pikachu and Mystery Dungeon and Fable Anniversary all have new thumbnails. Obviously Revelations 2 has just begun, so I didn't have to replace them, but that's kind of how the reimagining came about. I'm not going to go back and do anything that was already finished. One thing in my personal life that has been an itch I wouldn't mind scratching of late is I really want to get into collecting the Pokemon trading card game again. But there are 3 real issues with that. First is storage space, second is cost, third is time. Last time I had any sort of real serious interest in collecting the trading cards, it was about the time Gen 2 was starting to come out, so I bet I'm way behind. I do have kind of an obsessive personality, so if I do start, I'll probably end up with 10,000 cards I have no space to keep within a year, no doubt. I did it with comic books I had to get rid of, so I have got previous where it comes to this. So I feel like I could maybe have a bit more to say this week, but we are seriously out of time, so I'm going to leave it and sign off here. This has been Once a Future Gamer, and this has been Pokemon Platinum, using just normal type moves, but with no normal type Pokemon. I need to edit the absolute heck out of this video now. I've got like 2.5 days before normal premiere time. Take care, folks. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye now.